what markets should you be trading as a trader? Okay, now it depends on these 8 principles. So when I mentor a trader and they come to me into the Tradelo mentoring session, the first thing I say to him is, let's discuss your style of trading. What amount of capital are you putting in play? What's your frequency of trading? What's your level of risk appreciation? What's your current skill level and experience? How consistent are you? What type of strategies are you deploying? And what are your trading objectives? Because guess what? Based on those 8 questions, I can tell you very, very clearly as a trader which direction you should be moving in. Okay, notice what I've done there. I've not said to you, oh, I think you should trade Forex because it's the deepest, most liquid market in the world. I've not said to you, I think you should trade cryptos because you can make lots of money. I've said to you, tell me who you are as a trader. Tell me what you like. Tell me what your strengths and weaknesses are. Tell me how you understand things. And from that point, I can marry you to a suitable market. Okay, this is the problem, is a lot of traders come into this, they read something online, maybe from a good marketing thing or a good YouTube video, and the YouTube video says, you must trade futures. And guess what? It's sponsored by the CME because the CME gets exchange fees. The reality is you must trade the market that's suitable to you, and it's based on these 8 factors. Now, remember, what is your objective as a trader? And I come back to that very first curve I showed you. Your objective is to experience as fast as possible in a smart way, and you need to do it as cheaply as possible. Okay, you need to safeguard yourself against that big drawdown, because if you lose 10% of your account, guess what? You've pretty much wiped out 10 to 15 to 20 days of potential learning in the market. That's how you have to start to see money. Money is being invested into you gaining experience and developing skill. Okay, so you need to learn fast, you need to learn cheap. Now, in the beginning of your trading career, and beginning I mean first year, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in your first 4 years, you're still a very junior trader. Okay, now, in those beginning, focus on markets that are liquid. Why? Because when you have a spread in a market like you do in Bitcoin or in Ethereum, guess what? Every time you cross the spread, you're paying up and down. When the markets lose volatility and the spread still exists, guess what? You are going to struggle to make money. In fact, you're just going to give all your money to the broker. Okay? You need to trade markets that are easier to understand and interpret. In other words, is there a lot of good education trading doggy coin? No. Is there a lot of good education trading the S&P 500? Yes. Okay, you need to trade markets that provide frequent recognizable pattern plays. Again, markets that move a lot are going to provide more pattern plays. Why? Because a market that moves brings more participation into it. Okay, you need to trade markets that have lower volatility. And lastly, you need to trade markets that are cost effective in terms of commissions, in terms of tick value. Okay, now this isn't me bashing Bitcoin. This is me saying to you, there is a time and a place to trade Bitcoin, but it's not in the first 3 years of your career. Okay, and this is again, I don't want to sort of move you away from Bitcoin. I want you to recognize that if you want to do this as a trading career and you want to learn fast and learn cheap, there are going to be more suitable markets. Okay, but again, there is a point in time in your career where you can most definitely trade Bitcoin, and I encourage you to. Okay, so that's the example. S&P versus, Bitcoin. If we look at the S&P, it's liquid. It's got no spread. Bitcoin is illiquid and it has a massive spread. Okay, S&P 500 is easy to understand. Bitcoin, fundamentally, we're still trying to understand it. It's a new product. Okay, 2 years ago it was an inflation hedge. 1 year ago it's not an inflation hedge. Now it's a hedge against the banking crisis. Maybe next year it's not a hedge. We don't know. We're learning the fundamentals of it because it's still a new market. Okay, lower volatility. Okay, S&P's got a substantially lower volatility curve than Bitcoin. Cost effective. Okay, trading Bitcoin is stupidly expensive. Okay, compared to the S&P 500. So it makes sense in the early part of your career, if the objective is to learn fast, learn cheap, to stick with an S&P 500. Now, there are 5 sort of broad-based asset classes, if we can call it that. We've got Forex. Okay, Forex is liquid, but ultimately it's limited to FX. Okay, and we get such a thing called volatility drain, which is if you go back to the era of central banks ultimately hiking or cutting rates to zero, what we saw is very little volatility in currencies. Okay, so in other words, your scope for trades became limited. Right, so unfortunately, because you're only focused on FX and the major pairs, the reality is when they lose volatility, you start to lose a lot of opportunity. Okay, stocks, massive universe. Right? But again, that creates complications, which is which ones do you trade? Right? The more illiquid ones, they lack liquidity. That can sometimes be fundamentally driven, like Meta was yesterday, up 12-13%. Okay, how do you hedge against that? How do you manage that risk? Right? Ultimately, also, many stocks, if you're trading them as outright, won't offer you any kind of leverage. Okay, so you need bigger trading accounts. Options. Okay, we all know options have got a very low win rate, extremely low win rate. Now, if you trade a market that's got a low win rate, guess what? It's going to be difficult to learn, and you're going to need to have a pretty big bank balance as well. Okay, also options are complex. Futures, okay? Ultimately, there's a full macro market choice, so you can choose pretty much across the spectrum: commodities, FX, interest rates, equities, and you can get optimal entry points, but they are leveraged by nature. Okay, hence why we're now starting to see the CME come out with micro lots, because they recognize that if they can provide that, they solve the big issue, the big barrier to futures, which is the leverage side of things. And finally, we have CFDs and spreads. Okay, very simple, adjustable. You can do $1 per tick, $10 per tick, but ultimately they're very expensive in terms of commissions, and your broker ends up winning, and ultimately you get very poor entry. Okay, risk management's very difficult in CFDs and spreads. Okay, now the point of this is to highlight that each one of these asset classes has got pros and cons. It all comes down to ultimately those 8 questions. And in a moment, I'm going to show you 2 traders who I mentor. I'm going to show you the answers to their question that I gave them a couple of weeks back. Now, what I want to finish this slide with is to say to you, where are the volumes going? Okay, if you ever want to understand where's the best market to trade, have a look where the volumes are going and where the money's being invested. Okay, I can tell you right now, the volumes and the money is being very much invested in the futures space. Okay, that's why the CME is coming out with these big programs, and that's why just 2 days ago the CME launched zero-dated options. Okay, because they can see that is where the money's flowing to. That's why the CME came out 3-4 years ago and said, hey, look, we'll offer Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. Right? They are at the forefront of investing in offering new products. Why? Because ultimately that's where the money's going. Okay, more and more traders want to be on an exchange where there's safety, there's very little counterparty risk, you're trading with a reputable broker. Okay, so again, like I said, it's not that futures are the best. That is just why typically now, if you come to Tradelo or you ask me my opinion, more often than not, you're going to be pointed towards futures. Why? Well, let's look at 2 examples from 2 traders that I mentor. Okay, we're going to go through the 8 questions. So one of them said to me their style of trading is they're a day trader. Okay, so trader number 1 is in blue. He told me he's got an account of $10,000. He told me that he does, roughly speaking, 20 round trips per day. Okay, he says his level of risk appreciation is high. He's got an experience of about 1.5 years trading, some consistency. He likes scalping, and he has a return objective of 100% return. Okay, now very simply put, you cannot make, or at least it's going to be very difficult for you to make 100% return if you're trading something that's got very little leverage. Okay, so that kind of already rules out things like Forex and stocks. Okay, options, sure, possible. Okay, futures, definitely, and CFDs, yes, possible. Okay, but again, in terms of 1.5 years, probably not good to go options. In terms of $10,000 account, well, you can probably get pretty decent commissions on that. So CFDs are quite expensive. So yeah, ding ding ding, futures, on you go. I think that's the right play. At some point in the futures, at some point in the future when you can build a little more capital, definitely open yourself up to some stocks and some options. Okay, trader number 2, he said to me, he's a swing trader, 30K account, 10 trades a week, medium level of risk appreciation, 3 years of experience, some consistency, likes profile trading, so level to level, and he only has a 25% return. Okay, he obviously trades a lot less, only has a few hours, 3-4 hours a day to commit to trading. Okay, and I said to him, well, look, very simply put, you've got a much lower risk profile, you've got a level of experience, you're only planning on doing a couple of trades. I would definitely consider stocks. Okay, and I would definitely consider futures and perhaps CFDs. Okay, again, stay away from the options, a little bit complicated, not necessary at this point. Forex, you can pretty much be covered if you're trading the majors in the futures. So take these 8 questions, answer them for yourself, and the picture based on the pros and cons here will become pretty clear.